All right, well, here we go in three, two.
One. Yo, good morning, good day. Whenever you're hearing this, hopefully you're having a good day because I certainly am. Well, there's just one. This is This Week in Sports episode, whatever it is. I don't even want to know what number it is because been doing this for so long. Thank you for the handful of listeners. Um, I can't believe that people actually listen to my beautiful ass voice on a weekly basis. No jokes. All jokes aside, I'm Josh Jacko. That's Caleb. And what were you saying about NASA?
Yeah, I don't know where this is going to fit in the show, but might as well just
Okay, who
talk about it
cares?
off the hop here.
Yeah, why not?
I was just reading just now, like, NASA this week was doing that experiment trying to deflect an asteroid.
This will affect sports. If if an asteroid hits the Earth,
Surely.
I don't think there's going to be any Super Bowl.
Well, you never know. They go hard for that.
Yeah, they go hard in the NFL.
Yeah, and then so they did that experiment, and then also there's like another report being like, oh, there's also going to be another asteroid like concerningly close in like 2 weeks. I'm like, is this the same asteroid? Did
Did you fuck up?
Yeah,
Put it on course.
Did you send those fucking oil riggers up there and they fucked up? They all died.
Armageddon. It's funny. We were gonna watch Armageddon the other day.
Oh yeah,
I remember that. I don't mind that movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's good 90s like cool
end of the world movie. Yeah.
Yeah. The Core came out the same year, I think.
No, the Core came out a couple of years later.
Oh, what's the other one?
Deep Impact.
Deep Impact. Yeah.
Both were good. Both were
with
good
Mr.
movies.
Frodo.
Mr. Frodo Baggins of the Shire.
The Shaggin'
The Shaggin' Baggin' Shire. So hopefully that's not the same asteroid.
Yeah. I mean,
I do applaud them for. Was that NASA that did that?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like
their last rocket that they had or something, because it's all been private space exploration right now. This isn't a space podcast, obviously, but we're just
if we all die from an asteroid, that definitely will
affect
next week's episode.
Yeah, most definitely.
Who knows? Maybe next week will come to you from a bunker.
Well, here's the thing: you think they would really tell us if there was an asteroid?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, obviously, I'm not this kind of conspiracy guy. I don't really believe what I'm saying. I'm just having fun.
No,
but like,
do you think
ultimately at the end of the day,
do you think they would tell us?
No,
you don't think they would?
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas,
dude. They're just gonna they're just called mass panic. You know?
No,
just the world goes on as usual.
Until we're dead.
Yeah.
No, but I guess maybe.
I mean, but the thing you would notice though is all these like people that did know, like the higher ups, like the rich people,
dipping.
They would be dipping, and they'd be pulling their money out of everything. Right?
And Bezos would have his rockets going up, and Musk would have rockets going up.
They'd be buying gold and all this crazy shit. You know, like, so you would notice that, and they're not doing that. So
hopefully,
as far as we know,
hopefully, right? But just the amount of people that would know would be very minute. Just people that have powerful telescopes, right?
It's true. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, back to sports. The world continues to turn as of right now, this week, and a lot has happened besides asteroids getting deflected in sports. Obviously, the Oilers just had a great win tonight. Pulled out a win that we shouldn't have had. Like, we did not play a good game in the first 40 minutes against Pittsburgh, but we somehow were able to pull out a win, which, I mean, I say it time and time again, we have a good team and we're able to find different ways to win. But this one, it was ridiculous. We were tied 2-2 after 2 periods, and we had no business being tied because they outshot us like 2-1. It was like 26-13 or something after 2 shots on goal, and they took it to us for the first 2 periods, but somehow, some way, we got out of the first 40 tied, and I think I'm being a little bit loud, and we were able to find a way to win. Also, on that note, a funny note of tonight's game, Zach Hyman, who in this past week also scored his 200th point. Everyone thought he had a hat trick. So this was in the third period, and it looked like everyone was calling it a hat. Everyone was calling it a goal as far as the referees. Everyone on the ice was celebrating like it was the third goal of the game. So everyone in the crowd was throwing their hats onto the ice, right? And the replays was all conclusive. What everyone thought with the there was a review, and what everyone thought it was maybe the net coming off the moorings, but that's what it was. That's not what Pittsburgh challenged. What Pittsburgh challenged was offside, and sure enough, it was offside. So a lot of fans threw their hats on the ice thinking it was a hat trick,
Oh
but it got
no!
called back.
So what they're like at the end of the game? Come to this bin if you threw your hat in the ice, and you could go through it and find your hat.
I wonder if they would do that, man, because that sucks.
No, it's going back to it's going to the donation place.
Is
As
it, does
always.
it, do you know that for a fact? I know you do some social work around the city. Do you know if
Yeah,
the hats come back to the community?
yeah. I think they all they're all donated to. I think they're donated to kids actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, like they go to like some.
hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's a lot. You don't want to just waste all that, right?
Yeah, of course not.
But they probably wash it and whatnot. They probably wash
Maybe
them.
they just put them all through the dryer. You know.
Yeah, but that also, I think that's why you don't see any like a bunch of dope hats around because they're all
Right.
like messed up after going through the dryer.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I couldn't imagine. I've never seen that before where it was called a hat trick and people threw hats on the ice, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's hats, dozens and dozens, maybe over 100 hats on the ice, and they review the goal and it gets called back, not because of the net coming off, but because it was offside. So Zach Hyman, unfortunately, was not able to get his first career hat trick. McDavid did try to set him up with the empty net at the end of the game, but it was funny. The Pittsburgh player was all over him. Um, he knew that McDavid, like it was an empty net, right? He was like, oh, it's going to be a goal either way. So he just stuck onto Zach Hyman, the guy who was trying to get a hat trick, right? He just stuck on it, and Connor was like looking at him the whole time, trying to pass it to him.
Did Connor get it though?
Yeah,
Eventually?
yeah, Connor,
Right,
Connor
yeah.
with 4 points tonight.
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to end the game, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, Connor McDavid with 4 points tonight. His second 4-point game in the last 3 games. Unbelievable.
I mean, this probably happens all the time, but what a good guy for looking out for his
Well, of
teammates
course.
to get his
Yeah.
to get his hat trick.
He's upstanding captain, and he's one of the best. He's one of the best captains I've ever seen. Just like as far as his post game interviews and how he shouts out his other homies, and just like his leadership publicly and what he says to the media. Because I was watching his post game interview, and he was saying that he was trying really, really, really hard to get it to Hyman, like the whole time. Like he was like,
Yeah.
he said it a few times in a couple different questions. Like I was trying to get it to Hyman, I was trying to get it to him, but yeah, the Pittsburgh defenseman, I think it was Rodriguez, just wrapped his arms around Hyman, and just like wasn't allowing him, right?
Shoot.
So, I mean, hopefully those hats, all those hats that were thrown on the ice, go to somewhere good, somewhere where they can be used. McDavid again with a 4-point night. Also this week, though, in sports, he also had 400 assists. He reached his 400 assist mark after previously a couple weeks ago reaching the 200 goal mark, and he becomes the 4th fastest player to reach the 400 assist mark in NHL history. Yeah. Big ups. He's in Hall of Fame. He's with a bunch of Hall of Famers in that regard. Bobby Orr. Well, Connor McDavid did it in 426 games. It took him to get 400 career assists, which is actually ridiculous. And now that I think about it, in 426 games, he has 400 assists, not points. 400 assists.
That's crazy.
That's almost assist a game. Like that's
Like it's guaranteed you're making moves every game.
Oh my God, setting up plays. Bobby Orr, obviously the greatest defenseman, did it in 437 games. So just a couple games a few more games than McDavid. Peter Stastny, though, in 411. Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky did it in some crazy numbers. Lemieux did it in 353 games, and Wayne Gretzky got 400 assists in 290 games. But 4th fastest in NHL history, Connor McDavid to 400 assists. That was this past week in sports. So with tonight's win, a win that we honestly, for the most part, Pittsburgh outplayed us, but we found another way to win, and we improved to 16-5, the best record in National Hockey League. Give the Oilers some love. Yeah. Like it's amazing. Through 21 games, we've won 16 of them. This is the best best Oilers team I've ever seen. And it's such a good feeling to have to talk about it on a weekly basis. And I don't know, like things happen for a reason, and started this podcast on a good year, I think.
Yeah, for real.
The Blue Jays return home after a crazy pandemic. I got to go see them. We'll talk about some MLB in a sec here. And the Oilers had the best season of my life, of our lives, and I'm able to talk about it. So it's definitely a blessing. So, Oilers improved to 16-5 on the season through 21, the best in the league. And I mean, we still have parts of our game where we have to clean up. There's no doubt about that. We've taken some hits injury-wise on our defensive front. Nurse is out. Keith is out. They're going to be out at least till the next game against Seattle, our first game in Seattle, which I'm excited for on Friday. Some of you listening to this may have already witnessed the game in Seattle. I'm excited to see that because I've never really watched too much coverage on the Kraken yet, but they have a new arena, which I'm excited to see, and see how the vibe is there. I mean, you can only tell so much on TV, but I'm still excited to watch it on Friday. So hopefully we're able to improve our record even further and just keep rolling with it because, I mean, we're killing it so far. In other NHL news I mean, there was another hat trick tonight from a team that we don't talk about here. But something that I do want to talk about because it's kind of entertaining. Brendan Lemieux for the Los Angeles Kings got suspended 5 games for biting. Biting Brady Tkachuk in one of their little altercations a couple games ago.
What?
Yeah, the Kings forward Brendan Lemieux was having a little tussle with Brady Tkachuk. You know, a lot of Oilers fans have some strong feelings towards Matthew Tkachuk, and his brothers obviously cut from the same cloth. And the cloth is Keith Tkachuk, one of the greatest NHL players. I never had a problem with him growing up, but his son Matthew Tkachuk, he got beat up by Ethan Berry, got beat up by Zach Cassian. You know, that dude's, people will call him a turtle. His brother though got into a little scrap with Brendan Lemieux a couple games ago, and this Lemieux, I don't even know what to call it, child. This Lemieux like baby, like had his Brady Kachuk's like thumb area like was around his mouth. Dude, he just like grabs it with his jaws, and you could see immediately in the replay. Kachuk is like, "Yo, he bit me! He just bit me!" And then you could see when he goes to the penalty box, the referee comes over, and he's like showing the ref like the bite marks, man.
Yo, you don't want to be known as the guy who bites people. Like, that's so gross.
Yeah, honestly, like 5 games, I don't know. That just seems a little. That's not enough, man. Who bites someone? Like that's not an NHL move. That's not
that's
anything.
like,
Who does that?
well, it depends on how hard. Dude, did he break skin?
I don't know. I don't think he did, but
maybe the Chuck boys, maybe they're just tasty.
oh my.
He got it right next to his mouth, or right next to his face. He just could not go for it.
Oh my god, yeah. So this guy's gonna be chirped for the rest of his career, as he should. Yeah, I don't know.
Next time they go up against each other, the guy that bit him is just gonna be licking his lips, looking at him. The guy's gonna be like shaking.
I've never even heard of that. Like even when people don't know how to fight, and so, like, you don't bite somebody. Who bites somebody?
You bite someone when they're about to kill you. That's like the last thing you do.
Exactly. Or like you have, exactly. You're like life or death.
Yeah.
But he was he was just on the ice, and but he had him over, like his arms were on top of him or whatever, right? And like around his face, and then he just took a chunk, or not a chunk out of him, but he tried to take a chunk out of him. So I thought we'd get some laughs on that, so that's why I brought it up. But yeah, that Brendan Lemieux, he's never going to hear the end of it for the rest of his career, as which is totally justified because man, this is a professional hockey league, not.
Yeah, I mean, he went back to the locker room. His buddies are like, "Did you bite him? Like, what do you say?"
Yeah, even your teammates would look at you different, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, moving on from the biting incident into some MLB talk, like a lot has happened in the last, not only in the last week here in MLB news, but also in the last couple of days as far as the Major League Baseball. Um,
Just some like trading or
no, no. Free agency happened, but as of officially about an hour ago when we recorded this, the MLB owners officially locked out the players for their first quote unquote lockout for in 26 years.
lockout.
Hmm.
Like, what does that mean?
That means their collective bargaining agreement came to an end. It was supposed to end, I think, last year, but because of all the pandemic, they chose to continue another year on the previous agreement for one more year. And so this has been a couple years in the making. It was anticipated that the owners and the players wouldn't come to agreement in time of the expiration of the agreement. However, it was decided that in the best interest of the league and the players and everyone involved in the fans that they do this in the off season, so they don't, hopefully, fingers crossed, there's no disruption to the upcoming season or spring training or the World Series or the length of the season. Though a lot of people would say 162 games is too long. That is a really really long time, but it's been like that for many many years. But um, even though this potential work stoppage was on the forefront, a whole lot of dough got flown around in the first week of free agency. Our boy Robbie Ray, Cy Young winner, Toronto Blue Jays, fourth Cy Young winner in Blue Jays history, the fifth time that award has gone to a Blue Jay, fourth different Blue Jay. He ended up deciding to go to the Seattle Mariners.
Shoot.
Yes, on a 5-year, $115 million deal.
Oh my God.
Um, after three years, there's an opt out. But here's the interesting thing: Toronto, instead of signing Robbie Ray, we signed Kevin Gausman, who is also an elite pitcher, to a 5-year, $110 million year contract or $110 million contract, which works out to $22 million a year, which is just below what Seattle's paying for Robbie Ray. And from what I've heard and what I've seen and the stats I've seen, Gausman, he's almost as good of a pitcher, perhaps if not better than Robbie Ray. I mean, it's hard to say that Robbie Ray was a Cy Young winner, but Gausman had some great stats, especially last year. I mean, in 2021, their win-loss record almost identical. Their ERA, like virtually identical. ERA is their earned run average, how many runs they give up per 9 innings. Their WHIP, which is walks and hits per innings pitch, so how many hits basically you give up per inning, is identical. And their contracts are just $5 million difference over 5 years, though. So what I heard was Kevin Gausman was one of our pitchers that we were looking at. If we couldn't sign Robbie Ray again, this was our not even our second option. It was like our 1B option
Mm.
because he's such a good pitcher. And looking at his stats from last year, yeah, he's identical to Robbie Ray. So I like the signing. It's too bad that we lost Robbie Ray. I mean, he killed it for us. But we got him a short term, and we knew he was coming up on free agency. So, but another big loss. Marcus Simeon signs with the Texas Rangers on a crazy deal, 7-year, $175 million contract.
Mhm.
And Texas went all out though. And this is crazy because a lot of over $1.5 billion were spent before this for this work stoppage. And as far as the major league goes across the board, and Semien got a big chunk, and also Texas is going to be stacked next year. They also signed Corey Seager to a 10-year, $325 million contract. That's not. I got more numbers for you, Caleb. That'll blow your mind. With other players, but Seager and Semien, Texas literally just spent $500 million on two players on their middle infield. They're going to be stacked this year.
For how many years?
Well, 7, because that Semien's is 7, Seager's 10 years.
I just don't know how you spend tens of millions every year. Like, that's
It's crazy, dude. They make a lot of money in the major league teams make a lot of money, but how much money do they make? You know what I mean? They're dishing out this much dough, $500 million. Texas just dished out for 2 players.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
Oh, you have no idea. The biggest, richest, most ballin' ass contract in MLB history was also dished out this past week in sports. Max Scherzer got a 3-year, $130 million contract, which I think works out to 41 point, no,
43 million.
43 and some change million, which I worked out to be more than $1 million per start. He's a starting pitcher, right? So he only starts every 5 games, right? And if you're just basing that on a regular season, obviously you pay for that for the playoffs, right? For his performance in the playoffs, but technically the players don't get paid for the playoffs, right? They only get paid during the regular season. But if you actually work that out, he makes over $1 million a start per regular season start. If you're just putting that on a regular season basis, obviously you're paying it for his performance in the playoffs. But if you're just basing that on a regular season basis, he's making over $1 million a start. And if you divide that by, say, on average, pitchers pitch maybe 100, 110 pitches a game, he's making what, $10,000 a pitch.
That's nuts.
That's ridiculous.
I was gonna break it down hourly, but that's even crazier.
No, you can't.
'Cause
It's hard. It's hard to break it down hourly because you got.
Well, I mean, if he was a full time worker, like 40 hours a
Oh.
week, he'd be making $20,000 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes $10,000 a pitch.
That's crazier because he doesn't necessarily work all that time. He just
Well, you have to.
Yeah, he for sure you have to keep your physique up.
You have to keep your
and training and stuff. But
all the time. But
when he actually is like on the clock, quote unquote, it's like you said, it's $10,000 every time that ball leaves his hand. That's crazy.
So on an average annual value, that's the richest contract in MLB history. Over $40 million a year.
And what team is that?
That is for the New York Mets.
I just sure hope all the employees at the Mets Stadium are making a good wage.
Oh my god,
They better be.
Oh, yeah, Max. I mean, he's a Cy Young winner, and he's a really, really good pitcher. But I mean, the fact that you're making over $1 million a start it's fucking crazy, dude. Honestly, hey, like $10,000 a pitch. How good is that pitch? No, we're just breaking down like an analytic value. Like obviously, I mean,
I mean, good for him.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
for sure,
he
for
worked
sure.
his way up.
He worked his way up,
Yeah,
and he's been in the league for over a decade.
clearly been killing it.
Very much so, very much so. And obviously, I mean, it's not like just as simple as $10,000 per pitch. I mean, you got to stay at that level. You got to perform at that level, and um, when it comes down to what they really are paying for is the postseason performance. That's just a fact. So yeah, Texas gonna be fucking stacked this year because I mean they spent so much money on their middle infield. The Blue Jays, however, we're gonna be good as well. We're not. I don't think we're losing too much by signing Gosman and not Ray. I think we'll be all right. Maybe we also signed Yuri Garcia, who's also a pitcher, and we're making moves. We're making moves. We have our sights set on um, some infielder help. And I mean, there's no replacing a 45 home run Marcus Simeon like individually, but I think by committee we'll be all right because we our offense last year was one of the best in the league, so I'm not too worried. Before we get into this week in sports history and such, um, just wanted to bring up. Well, just wanted to see what the there's minor news in the NBA. Well, I mean, maybe not minor if you're an NBA fan, but minor for someone who watches hockey and follows baseball for the majority. But the Raptors were sputtering along here. I mean, when we don't have the team that we did couple years ago. Obviously, we're 9-13, 6.5 from first. I mean, it's still early, and like I said, we're sputtering along. I haven't watched too many of the games, but I've just been seeing highlights and whatnot. I think if we stay, if we are able to play 500 and stay with the pack, we might have a chance. But it's only 22 games in. But it's easy to say something like that when we're like so far from the top as we were a couple years ago. I mean, if who am I gonna lie to? Like if we were at the top 2 years ago, I mean, I don't think I'd be the only person that's saying that we'd be following a little bit closer with the Raptors and whatnot. But hopefully, we're able to stay with the pack and continue on. In football, though, I've been watching a lot of NFL recently, and my new favorite thing on Sundays is watching the NFL and their red zone. They call it NFL Red Zone, which basically it jumps from game to game because at any given point on a Sunday, there's a handful of NFL games going on, and NFL Red Zone doesn't even let you go to the bathroom. This no commercials, nothing. It hops from game to game, from play to play, and it shows you the games that are closest to having a scoring opportunity happen. So,
Wow.
so if the ball's like on the 5 yard line, they'll be going to those games. Maybe there's two games like that. They'll be going back and forth, but it's like nonstop, play by play. Like it's like holy cow! Like I wake up because we're in the mountain time zone, and I wake up and there's already games going on a Sunday, and it just like keeps me hooked for like 6 hours.
Damn, how long does that go for?
Well, it goes well on Sundays. There's how many 20, 12, 13. There's four. There's usually 13 or 14 games
Oh
on
wow.
a Sunday, right? So five or six of them start at one at like early, right?
Yep.
Excuse you. Uh, Six of them start early, and then five of them or four of them start like 3 hours later, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of stagger them in groups like that. And then there's one game at Sunday night, which is a marquee matchup. And then there's one game on Monday, which is a marquee matchup. And then there's the early game on the Thursday. But my Sundays, it's NFL Red Zone. I heard about this years ago, but this is my first year that I got into it, and that's one of my favorite things to do. It reminds me of the sports bar in Vancouver called Fat Sports Bar. Fat spelled with a PH, PHAT.
Shout out.
Shout out. Oh no, it's not a shout out anymore, bro. I
No.
went there. Oh, yeah, last time I went, or two times ago when I went to Vancouver. I always remember that sports bar, so I went to it. Went to where it was supposed to be,
Yeah.
and it was gone, bro.
No.
It wasn't even what you picture. It was like a little kind of like a hole in the wall. It was like really kind of like skinny,
Yeah.
right? But the bar was right like was parallel as far as like the skinniness, right? So there was a
Right.
bunch of
Like
tables
all the way
along it,
down.
all the way down. The bar was all the way down, and the bar behind it had like I don't know 8, 10 TVs behind it, and the bartender. I never seen this before. The bartender would watch all the sports. We were there during the Stanley Cup playoffs one year. Let's say 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and he was he wouldn't let the sound of a commercial go over the speakers. He would watch the game. You know how bars have the sound for a specific game, and most bars, they'd have different, TVs with different sports. But whenever a commercial would hit the speakers, he would turn the sound onto one of the other games,
Cool.
whether it be another hockey game or one of the basketball games. And I was like, "Yo, this is my home. I love this place. Every time I come to Vancouver, I'm gonna come to here, come to this place called Fat Sports Bar. It was right downtown Van too. It was mint. And for whatever reason, it wasn't able to last. And the next time I went to Vancouver about a year ago, it wasn't there, and I was so
Maybe
disappointed.
COVID.
No, it was before COVID.
Really?
Yeah, it
Ah,
was.
shoot.
COVID didn't have anything to do with it, and
Sucks when like you discover one of these like hidden gems and then it
it
just
was great. And it
yeah.
wasn't even like when we went in there, it wasn't dead at all, man. It was a assortment of people, different sports and everything, and it was. I don't know, maybe I don't know. I don't want to speculate why they weren't able to last, but it was one of the best bars I've ever been in, and I never seen what the bartender did before. I never seen it since, where he would just was on the ball so much that whenever a commercial hit the speakers, he would switch the audio to a game that was live, so you wouldn't hear no commercials or anything. You were just within the sports, and that was. I wish more places were like that. More quote unquote sports bars were like that. That was the first thing I said about that. I'm like, why can't all sports bars? When I say sports bars, I'm doing the fucking air quotes because these sports bars weren't uh, weren't as legit as that sports bar. Fat, fat sports bar in Vancouver. Hopefully, that owner is able to maybe get in on somewhere else, or maybe recuperates and get another bar, because he knew how to do it, and I had mad respect for him. I wish I remembered his name, because I remember him introducing myself. I'm like, you dude, you're like, when we were leaving, I'm like, you man, I had one of my best times here, like as far as watching a game, and it was when Winnipeg was going for one of their runs. It wasn't even like the Oilers weren't even in it. Like it was, we were in Vancouver during the spring, like we do, like we seem to do almost every year. And I wanted to watch a game because I wanted to go to Winnipeg if they made it to the Stanley Cup final. And yeah, just stumbled in on this bar, and it was freaking awesome. But yeah, NFL Red Zone basically reminds me of that, where it just keeps you hooked. Just you can't like leave your seat when you're watching football. Non-stop action though. There's no time to even think about what you're gonna do for the rest of your day. So thought I'd mention that. Also, though, I seen Chuba Hubbard on the broadcast, Oilers broadcast today, and I had no idea. I had no idea. This guy was from Edmonton. This guy grew up in Sherwood Park, and he plays for the Carolina Panthers in the NFL, and he's killing it this year.
Hmm.
And I decided now that, or tonight, that Carolina Panthers are going to be my team to cheer for this year, because there's an Edmontonian on the team as a running back, Chuba Hubbard. Shout out, give him some love, Caleb. Made it to the NFL from Edmonton. Like, what? And he's putting up big numbers. He's replacing, or he's filling in for their starting running back. and he's doing his part. Cam Newton just recently came back to the Carolina Panthers. He was drafted by them and played his first years with them and won the MVP with the Carolina Panthers, and then just recently got back with them 2 weeks ago. So I decided tonight that Chuba Hubbard and the Carolina Panthers are, I think, going to be my team that I cheer for because they're 5-7 this year. They're trailing a wild card spot, but the division they're in and the NFC, there's a chance. There is a chance. They're not like way far behind. So if they're able to have a good finish to their season and string some wins together, it'll be exciting to see an Edmontonian make it to the playoffs and see what he can do, because that's where we'll be talking a lot more NFL when that happens in the coming months when it gets closer to the playoff time. But they're about 2/3 of the way through their season. They have 17 games this year. Normally, in the past number of years, it was 16 games. They just recently moved to 17 games. Hence why I haven't been talking about it too much. There's just a lot of moving pieces in that. Also, though, in other football news, I haven't talked a lot of CFL either. That's because the Elks just completely shit the bed this year, and they got rid of all their management. They got rid of all their coaches. They cleaned house as they should, and unfortunately, we're a long way from where we were 6 years ago in this week in sports history, where we won the Grey Cup. And I completely understand why we cleaned house and got rid of everybody, because I think we only won like 2 games this year. It's one of the big reasons I didn't follow CFL too much. We didn't stand a chance. But before we get into the couple things we have in this week in sports history, got to shout out Cage Exteriors. If you want some work done on your house, or if you're looking for work, Cage Exteriors is where it's at. Cage Exteriors, Cage with a K, Kage, exteriors.com. If you can't spell exteriors, you're probably not going to get hired by them. This week in sports history, though, before we get into the winning culture of the City of Champions, Dennis Rodman put up one of the craziest stat lines ever in NBA history. 28 years ago, he had 0 points and 28 rebounds. I've seen this a few times. I want to know how many fouls he got during that game. He obviously didn't foul out. So what he did was just stand underneath both baskets and get the ball. He didn't score a point, and he got 28 rebounds. That was 28 years ago too, actually, ironically.
What a character.
Oh, Dennis Rodman. I'm sure of the 2 listeners, hopefully one of them has seen The Last Dance with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman was also part of it. And that dude is a major character.
Yeah. He's like best friends with Kim Jong-un too.
Probably. I believe.
He goes down to like North Korea like every year.
He would.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy, this is the guy I want to be when I grow up. Just kidding. No, like he doesn't give a fuck. He does what he wants. He's his own person. He doesn't let anyone influence him. This guy, I don't know how else to put it. I guess kind of envious of him back in the 90s. He was smashing Carmen Electra for a while, like back when she was young, and I mean she's still fine as fuck. But back in the 90s and whatnot, I remember watching The Last Dance, and they were interviewing her, they were interviewing him, and they had some wild nights in Vegas and during the Chicago Bulls run, and when they were killing it, winning championships and championships and championships.
Madonna too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure, for sure. What a guy, eh?
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't give a fuck. Just like the clear
Yeah, exactly.
definition of that.
Yes, right, right. I mean, if more people had some of that in their life, I think this world would be a better place, or it'd be a
Yeah,
worse place. Who knows? It'd be more chaotic, but there would be less fucks given.
yeah.
And I think,
Damn, fashion icon too. Oh,
how many colors of the rainbow were his hair?
everyone.
Everyone. If people gave as many fucks as Dennis Rodman, I think we'd have world peace. I think we would.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, I think you solved it.
Yeah.
Be like Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. Go after the Madonnas in your life. So yeah, crazy stat line. 28 years ago, he had 0 points, freaking 28 rebounds. That'll never happen again. Before we wrap it up here, though, shout out to the 103rd Grey Cup winner. We won it on November 29th, 2015. The Edmonton Eskimos with their 14th title in history.
It's a good year.
It was a good year. It was a really good year, actually, 2015. I remember watching it. I was having a little shindig over at my penthouse in the sky. And none of the homies came over, but the family did. Mom, dad, auntie Debbie.
Was I there?
I'm not. I don't think you were. You might.
I feel like I might have been.
You might have been there. You might have been there.
I remember a night where mom and dad came over.
Oh no, that was a different night.
Oh
yeah, that was a different night. But this, it was around the same time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the few nights where I watched a sporting event through and through with mom, dad, and auntie there all together. I think there was a couple cousins and maybe a friend or two, but it wasn't like a huge party, right? Like I wasn't trying to make a huge party, but I was trying to have people over, and ironically, it was my parents and my fam jam, and we watched it, and I woke up with a huge smile on my face, and I remember posting that it was this is going to be the start of our winning culture again here in Edmonton, and even though it was 6 years ago, I still believe that that was our 14th Grey Cup championship here in Edmonton, and I'll never forget it. Shout out to the 103rd Grey Cup champions, the 2015 Grey Cup winners, Edmonton Eskimos. Give them some love. Now the Edmonton Elks. That was our 14th championship. Hopefully we get a 15th in the coming years here. I don't want to wait too long. And, I mean, we can't be any worse next year, can we? Jokes. So this has been the newest episode of the newest sports podcast in the world. This is the Jackos. This is our show. This is This Week in Sports. I appreciate. I'm hesitant to say all of you listening because, like, I feel like I'm talking to one person. Caleb, thank you for listening, Caleb. I really appreciate it.
I have to.
I'm contractually obligated to listen to your voice. No. No, thank you all, and catch you next time. Peace.